Even one down the sideline, and he's got Cass over the top. Big side, down the sideline. Touchdown. His signature move and his signature performance. Allen, big ball one more time. 58 yards this time.
You're listening to the Bruin Bible. This is your host, Will Decker, bringing you UCLA football content all throughout the year for LA Football Network.
Man, what is up and welcome to the latest edition of the Bruin Bible. It's Friday. We're out here. NFL Draft Day 1 in the books. Our guy Latu going top 15. Not only top 15, madman, but the number one defensive player off the board. UCLA is feeling great, guys. We have a great show in store for you guys today here on 1090 ESPN The Mightier. We're going to be talking about the spring game coming to the Rose Bowl this weekend. We got to talk about some NIL and how UCLA is surging in that area. Jay Toia returning to the UCLA Bruins. I think that's what we got to start with. But first, we're going to get to some advertisements starting right here. Our advertisers are Bell to Bell Fitness, Jay Toia, a realtor out in Arizona, former Bruin alum, and my main man Howard Chang, a realtor right here in Los Angeles. Let's go through them, guys. Bell to Bell Fitness is a boxing gym on the West Coast, used by their FIT acronym, Fight Inspired Training. My main man, Tony Gonzalez, was the boxing coach for UCLA for over 10 years. He has built this gym on the West Side to learn how to boxing, stay in shape, and get you all the essentials you need to become somebody that is obsessed with boxing and fitness. Make sure to check it out. Go into Bell to Bell Fitness and say you heard about it from the Bruin Bible, and you're going to get a free session with Tony Gonzalez. So make sure to check that out. Jay Toia, my main man. Jay Toia is a licensed real estate agent in Arizona and a lifelong Bruin. He's a current Wooden Athletic Fund donor and football season ticket holder. When not selling houses or going to UCLA games, he loves to travel the country, checking out different arenas, ballparks, and stadiums. If you're looking to make the move to Arizona or know someone who is, please reach out to our loyal friend, Mr. Jay Toia. His phone number is 602-487-3975. Once again, his number is 602-487-3975. Make sure to check that out. And then the local realtor we got out here, Howard Chang. Howard Chang is a local realtor with the Serene team at eXp Realty. Their team has an office right here in Culver City, though they help clients buy and sell homes all over the LA County and the surrounding areas. Howard and his team do a ton of business and are super in tune with the market, knowing winning strategies to give their clients a competitive advantage. Have amazing vendor referrals, are a one-stop shop for anything real estate, and just provide a ton of value for their clients. Howard and his partner, Kyle Draper, are UCLA alums and a huge fans of the UCLA football and basketball programs. You will often see them at games, tailgating and networking, and staying involved with the UCLA alumni community. They would love to help any fellow alumni with accomplishing their real estate goals. So if you guys have any real estate needs in the LA area, look no further. Howard is your guy. Okay, madman, Jay Toia. This might be the first time this has happened at something at UCLA, because when somebody enters the transfer portal, it really signifies a time where it's pretty much over for UCLA and that, having them return back to campus. I mean, we saw it all offseason. We saw it with coaches like DeAnton Lynn going to USC, him taking Kamari Ramsey, Humphreys, just losing like a lot of guys that really meant a lot to UCLA. So when Toia entered, our hearts collectively sank as a fan base. And then there were slow rumors coming around like, hey, like he wants to stay, he wants to come back. And I think the thing that I'm most impressed with is UCLA has put its money where its mouth is, this fan base, and has really given a lot to the first year of Deshaun Foster and NIL. We're able to match the likes of a University of Texas financially and what they were going to provide. Like maybe one of the one of the top 5 financial institutions when it comes to athletics. So to be able to match that shows me we got stuff going on with NIL. I'm not even bringing up what's going on in the basketball program just yet. But madman, first questions first. Like, how big is it that Toia is returning to the Bruins, the anchor of this defensive line? We're a completely different team with Toia out there, man.
Absolutely, Will. I mean, it's the most significant day of this offseason since Deshaun Foster took over as coach. And you and I have really been through the roller coaster of emotions, Will, the last week in terms of discovering Toia, wanting to leave, and then beginning of the week, the tide turning, and then him emphatically saying that he's back. we've talked about this, Will. He is the one guy on that defensive front seven that can command a double team. He's the one guy that it has the ability to anchor that interior defensive line. He's the one guy where other players like the likes of an Achiem Pong, the likes of an Oladijo, the likes of a Kane Medrano, the likes of a Keanu Williams can play off of and grow and really serve as weak side havoc creators, because you have to put so much attention on Jay Toia. So the fact that he is returning, you and I have talked about this, it is a 1 to 2 game swing in UCLA season. And so the significance of him returning, Will, is absolutely sensational and continues to build upon this momentum in the offseason. And like you said, Will, I think the fact that we were able to retain him when the likes of the University of Texas and other major Power 5 programs, both in the Midwest as well as in the Southeast, were pursuing him. And look, all indications, Will, in terms of our channels and pockets, what we were hearing, look, the number was about $400,000 to $500,000. I mean, this is a big number for someone like an interior defensive lineman. The fact that UCLA could match and retain just shows the fan engagement, the passion, the interest, the connectivity to this program is getting rekindled in a very significant way. And when you couple that with, at last count, 21,000 tickets have been subscribed for this spring game. Listen, Bruin Nation is back here, and we are on the cusp of a new era with Deshaun Foster, and we are all about that.
And it's not just football, which is the craziest thing, man. I mean, you look at the transfer portal and what they've done on the basketball floor. Kobe Johnson coming over from USC, big-time transfer. Sky Clark from Southern California originally was at Louisville. Then you got Eric Daly and William Kyle committing kind of on back-to-back days. And then Tyler Bilodeau coming from Oregon State. They got the #1 transfer portal class in all college basketball. You know what's helping that out? Having a lot of NIL money to spend. So I want to shout out to Fanbase really quick for what they're doing NIL-wise. Madman, is there a reason or a rhyme for you with how this NIL is going for UCLA and why they've picked up the pace so quickly here, where the first few years it felt a little off, but now it's peaking at a way that I've never seen? And, I mean, we're going to get into it a little bit more. We got some people coming over for the spring game that are studs, that are like, you know, 6-figure type players. So, like, this is going to be pretty epic for UCLA if we can keep on this track, my guy.
No, absolutely, Will. And I think the initial approach, Will, was there was so much volatility. There was so much uncertainty. No one really knew how permanent this was going to be. In many ways, NIL in college sports was sort of the economic equivalent of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, where you're hesitant to sort of jump right in because you don't know if the market is going to move on you, if policy is going to move on you, if legislation is going to move on you. And so I think UCLA wanted to kind of take the fast follower approach of, let's have some other programs perhaps take some first steps. Let's see where they made mistakes, where it worked for them. And then we have an ability to be that fast follower and really be optimal. But I think now, combined with that philosophy, understanding that NIL is here to stay and understanding how powerful of a tool it is in terms of recruitment and retention, Will, I think has sort of dialed up the intensity, the urgency, and the clarity within the athletic department. Will, all indications, Larry Drew II has been a tremendous figure on the basketball side, bringing together very notable UCLA basketball alumni, very notable UCLA basketball boosters, passionate fans, and really put a system in place for UCLA to not just be competing, but thriving at this point. All indications that we know, Will, this is now a top 3 to top 5 NIL program in basketball. And you mentioned it. The evidence is there. Cronin has picked up 5 players. All 5 players have scored double figures last year on their existing teams. Not to mention, they're going after Perry from Harvard Westlake. They've got Robert Ory's kid. They're really solidifying a situation where this is going to be a perennial Final Four team moving forward. And we're all about it, Will, because UCLA, when they're humming in basketball, then it translates over into football from a sense of urgency standpoint. And then the whole ecosystem is ready to get rocking and rolling. That was the one element, Will, a lot of people didn't realize. Cronin had to lean in a little bit more internationally the last year because the NIL policy was such that international players weren't eligible for NIL given international visa and immigration policies as they pertain to the U.S. So when the NIL system wasn't in place, when it was a little bit weaker financially, that's when he really leaned more international. Now that the war chest has been solidified, now that it's sort of overflowing, now he can go and kind of get his type of players and then also complement them with the right international players. So shout out to the Bruin Nation, the fans, the boosters, the alumni, the supporters, the diehards, everybody that is making this happen, because it is a movement, Will. We are seeing it. UCLA sports is taking that next step. And with how great this university is and how collegial this brand is and how beloved this place is, that we are at the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg is right, guys. Please keep donating to Men
Absolutely.
of Westwood. Every dollar makes an impact. I mean, you guys are seeing this. This is what I saw today for UCLA. LSU corner. I mean, how many times have we gotten any of those guys? The DBU of college football, Jeremiah Hughes, taking a visit here for the spring game this weekend. A guy that would likely cost six figures for a lot of schools. He's taking his time and he's coming out to the Rose Bowl for UCLA this weekend. Also, some potential guys in there. You know, we got the tackle out of Louisville, Ruben Unije.
Yes.
This guy started 19 games. This would be a huge addition to an offensive line that desperately needs it, among others. So there's going to be a lot of studs out there watching for UCLA that, you know, hey, if the money's right and the opportunity's there, they could be Bruins with this NIL money coming through. So there's a lot of great things there. Want to kind of talk about this because you actually made an awesome point while we were watching spring ball practice about what the potential spring game could be. Do you want to elaborate more on this thought? Because I think this was such a genius idea. I think it could become a tradition in college football that's like looked upon as some of the greatest ones we've got, you know, the Little Brown Jug, the big game, Alabama, Auburn. This would be another enticing piece of the UCLA USC rivalry. Talk to me about your thought process involving the spring game.
Yeah, Will, I think that obviously we're very excited. It's first time in 7 years we're having a spring game at the Rose Bowl, 21,000 strong. And I got to put in a plug here, Will, for us in LAFB. We've got a beautiful It's a Great Day to Be Alive and Be a Bruin t-shirt. We've partnered with the Men of Westwood. 50% of the proceeds are going to go to the Men of Westwood as part of the collective. Go on LAFBnetwork.com, get your It's a Great Day to Be Alive and Be a Bruin shirt, and come out loud and proud at this spring game. We're going to be wearing it. Come say hi. Come interact. We're all part of Bruin Nation, all part of the Bruin family. And just given this level of excitement, Will, I feel it would be incredible if we had the annual spring game be a USC-UCLA game. And, you know, it's a spring game for UCLA versus USC. It would be hosted at the site where the actual victory game bell would not be played. So you'd have the alternate site. You could even have a situation where the winner of the victory bell last year gets to host it. And you really get an opportunity to test the ones versus the ones, the two versus the twos, the three versus the threes, and really measure yourself against your crosstown rival, and then really set that as the point of departure for the season in terms of development and excellence and execution. And then you meet at the end of the season to see how the journey took place. How fun would that be, Will, if we had a spring game every year that instead of UCLA playing itself, USC playing itself, we just got them together. They're only 11 miles apart and have an incredible scrimmage. It could even be a Friday Night Lights concept where they play. You got a great carnival style for both sides. You have the pageantry on both sides. It would just be such a dynamite event that could really take over this city in a very meaningful way in the spring. So I am proposing, Will, that we have, you know, the spring bell game, you know, that is the spring game between USC and UCLA, and really get this city divided, house divided, crosstown rivalry dialed up even more.
And what a unique tradition that would be to add to college football, because you mentioned it, like Iowa can't play Nebraska in these types of games. You know, Michigan, Ohio State, they're separated by 80 plus miles, whatever it may be. This is a 12-mile away rivalry. They're in the same city. They're two major universities. It makes so much sense to like explore this idea further and see what we can kind of come up with, because, man, if you get this right, This could be one of the most fun things that college football has to offer with the LA spring game. Trojans against Bruins. I'm getting fired up just thinking about it, man. It'd be freaking incredible having that in Los Angeles, man. And speaking of the spring game, before we get out of here, I want to hear your thoughts. Who are some of the players? Because we've been fortunate enough to watch a lot of different practices. We've had a lot of thoughts come out there, about which guys we've liked so far in spring ball, which matchups we think are interesting, who can make some big plays out there significantly for the Bruins in a game-like environment, which is going to be that on Saturday afternoon. Who are some of the guys you're excited to watch and kind of test their skills in a game-like environment for UCLA on Saturday?
Yeah, Will, it's such a great question. And I think we've got some of the known suspects, and now we've got some of the unknown suspects that I think you and I have been looking at, and with cautious optimism about these guys are kind of ready to break out. And I think for me, Will, I have to start at the wide receiver position. And we know Logan Loya is going to be the ultimate slot guy. We know J.Michael Sturdivant is, assuming the offensive line is able to block and give Garbers enough time, is going to create separation down the field. I think Bruin fans are going to get introduced to Rico Flores Jr. as an incredible receiver, a guy kind of in the mold of a Calvin Ridley, a guy who's going to be able to do a little bit of everything. He's going to catch the underneath stuff. He's going to be able to stretch the field a little bit. Incredible route runner, incredible strength, tremendous hands. I think given where the offensive line could be, assuming they can't get more fortification and depth, we could see a world where Ethan Garbers relies even more on Flores than perhaps a J.Michael Sturdivant. So I'm so excited to see Rico Flores Jr. and also the kid. Quasi Gilmore, Will, has shown so many flashes of explosiveness, of twitch, of acceleration. The athleticism just sort of makes your jaw drop. I can't wait to see him in more of an 11-on-11 consistent construct to just see how athletic he's going to be. So those are two guys from an offensive weaponry perspective, Will, that I'm really excited about. And I'm also quite excited to see how Eric Bieniemy is going to use Keegan Jones in the ilk of how running backs were used with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I'm really excited to see kind of the gadgetry associated with Keegan Jones, lining him up a little bit in the slot, having him in the backfield, putting him in motion. There's been some interesting concepts during spring practice, Will, with some shovel passes, some misdirections. So how he's going to be used for me is going to be really fascinating. And then, Will, on the defensive side of the ball, who is going to kind of step in there and take ownership of this team? I'm really excited to see Oladipo. I think he's been kind of waiting to sort of unleash. He's been sort of having to constrain himself a little bit, just given the nature of spring practice. But to see him in a hybrid linebacker edge type of role take on that ownership that Latu took on. He's going to be kind of a combination of Latu and Moasau this year. So to see him play and break out, I'm really excited about, and I'm hoping, I'm cautiously optimistic also, Will, we get to see Collin a champion. He's been kind of exercising. He's been working out spring practice. Is he going to make his debut in the spring game? Because to see those two physical specimen on the field together is going to be absolutely staggering. And then my last guy, Will, is the guy that I think ultimately is going to be QB2 in Luke Duncan. I can't wait to see him kind of go head-to-head with Garbs, with Justin Martin. He's 6'6", incredible release, incredible mind. He seems to make all the right reads. He's so smooth. He looks every bit the part. To see him in an 11-on-11 situation against a very credible defensive unit, I can't wait to see it. So those are about my half dozen guys, Will, that I'm particularly keeping my eye on. Of course, we want to keep an eye on the secondary. We want to look at the line play in terms of trenches on both sides. So I'll be very eager there. But those are the half dozen guys in particular I've got my eyes on.
A lot of guys for me too, man. Like the safety play, like we got two new guys back there. They look pretty decent in practice, but Addison, Ramon Henderson coming from Oregon and Notre Dame respectively. Yes. How do they fit in, with the Cody Whitfield defense? Because we see the 11-on-11 stuff in practice. This is as close as you're going to get to a game-like environment out there. Let's see how they react in those plays. Keanu Williams has made a lot of flash plays out there in spring ball. We've noticed a lot of it. Having Toia come back really unlocks his true potential as kind of that second interior defensive lineman and what he can bring to the table. I'm going to be looking for him. You mentioned the wide receiver room, man. TMA is a guy that I got to bring up. He is so slippery out there when he is running routes. It's a blessing to have that guy back. There's almost too many weapons in one room to really just kind of quantify what UCLA's wide receivers are going to be able to do in 2024, heading to the Big Ten. And we alluded to it earlier. Duncan looks great. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. It's going to be nice to see Garbers just kind of know he's quarterback one. We saw a little bit of that today at spring practice. Maybe two of the prettiest balls we've seen all spring. He threw that kind of 50-50 ball, put it only right where Rico Flores could kind of just rip it out of the defender, and then just the dime he had to Sturdivant in the end zone. Garbers is on a mission right now. He's throwing seeds. He's throwing dots out there as a quarterback. This guy is slinging the rock. So it's just going to be nice to see Garbers kind of finally exhale and be like, you know what? I am the man here for the first time in his career. So a lot of great stuff going on there. Guys, thank you so much for allowing us to do this. We want to see everybody, and I mean everybody we possibly can get out at the Rose Bowl. Our goal is to double the size of the USC spring game. That is my goal. Get out there, get loud and proud. UCLA, 21,000 on paper. Let's live up to that number and get out there and make it the best thing ever. Madman, any parting thoughts before we get out of here on this Friday afternoon?
No, Will, I think you said it best. What an incredible spirit. This is going to be the first time, Will, think about it, since 2017, we're going to be having a spring game. I can't wait to just see the electricity of the fans and the passion of the coaching staff and the execution of the players. This is a very significant day. We have said it, Will, for years. There is no reason UCLA cannot be one of the epicenters of college football, given what that university represents, how beautiful its campus is, and all of the resources that come with being a UCLA Bruin in one of the greatest cities in the world. And we're starting to tap into that and understand our potential with the likes of Deshaun Foster and Martin Jarman and Eric Bieniemy. And I think this is going to be a first step in the new era of UCLA football. So I want everybody to come out, be loud, be proud. You are UCLA Bruins, the number one public university in the world, one of the truly elite institutions in terms of values, in terms of academics, in terms of athletics. Puff out your chest. Let's be loud. Let's be proud. Forever, fours up. This is the first day of a new chapter with the UCLA Bruins. Cannot wait for this, Will. And then I can't wait for us to dissect it. And you and me are going to be there. We're going to have some friends there. Papa Madney's going to be there. We're going to have a great dinner afterwards. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope folks come up to us and have a great conversation. Can't wait to meet everyone, meet our friends, meet our followers. And it's just going to be a wonderful day. Bring your family, bring your friends. A Saturday afternoon at the Rose Bowl. There's going to be autograph sessions after. There's going to be opportunities to kind of be on the field both before and after. It's going to be a great day. It's a great day to be alive and be a Bruin.
We are officially out from LA Football Network. You guys have an awesome weekend, and we hope to see you guys at the Rose Bowl. Talk soon. We'll be back after the break. Don't